Hi, I am Jeanne Schumacher, and I am the co-founder of the Pregnancy Advantage. And you can find a lot of resources on the pregnancyadvantage.net. Also, I have simply plantbased.net, which has a lot of resources. So, and tonight, and normally I would have Deborah Shapiro here with me, who is the co-founder of the Pregnancy Advantage. But tonight she's got a little toothache going on. So I invited Dr. Christina Miller, who is double board certified in emergency and integrative medicine. And due to her own health concerns and overwhelming amount of chronic disease she saw every day, she radically changed her practice to lifestyle medicine and health promotion. She has studied nutritional sciences and completed a fellowship in the integrative and functional medicine. You can find her, and if you guys don't know about this, she is with plantbasedtelehealth.com, and you can see her as a plant-based doctor. So, plant-based health, I can't say enough about you guys. I mean, my good friends, Lori and Anthony, that started this. Yeah, you guys are amazing. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight here, Dr. Miller.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me, Jeanne. It's always fun for me to do a chat with you. You know, I love it.
I know. We always have lots to talk about. So
we do. We have so much fun together.
We do. Dealing with family that is not supporting plant-based lifestyle or living. So, Chris, what do you do? How does that? Have you heard or dealt with families that are having this problem?
Oh man, this is a tough one. And yes, it's really common because one person will get excited about it for health reasons or because they're pregnant or they read about it or they want to be super healthy, and the other family member is not, and it likes their animal products or likes how they eat or has a specific style they do themselves, and they're not ready, they're not at the time where they want to change. And so yeah, it's common. It's really hard on the person. It's hard enough to do it with support, and then without support, it's tough. It's a tough challenge, and I definitely understand, and I have some ideas to share today.
Oh, share. Come on, share.
Yeah. So after working with so many people, some of the things that have worked for people, I'll share, just what people have tried and what has worked. And some of the things that have worked is, one is having them, first of all, having a conversation so they understand why you're doing it. And even if they're going to eat their own thing, maybe they're not eating it right in front of you, or maybe they store their food a little bit separately so you don't have to see it. And so you can have different parts of the fridge, or even, have them have their own cabinet. So when you're opening your food and looking for healthy food, your healthy food is there and their food might be tucked away somewhere else. That's been helpful for some people, to kind of keep it separate, so that they still stay strong and they don't have the temptation and mess up what they're trying to do. And another thing is, a lot of people have to cook for their spouse. And so what I always recommend is cooking a plant-based meal, because everybody needs vegetables, right? Everybody needs grains and beans. I mean, that's good for everybody. And then if they want a piece of animal protein or something like that, well, if you still have to cook it, you can cook it and keep that separate. And then everybody has a plant-based meal, yourself included. So you're not entirely cooking two separate meals. You're just doing one meal, but then maybe a little animal meat for that person. Or maybe that person will do that part themselves, and then you cook the bulk of it. So those are a few ideas that we've used.
I got to share a quick story. But when I was used to make dog food for my dog, and I would add a little bit of chicken flavoring, this was years ago. And it's gotten to the point where I would cook the chicken in a crock pot outside of the house because it smells so bad to me. But it was like 17 degrees out. And I'm like, yeah, no, the chicken's not going to cook. So I put it in the garage. And my husband didn't know that. And he walked out there to like take some trash or something out into the garage. He's like, oh my God, how do you think the septic backed up into the garage? It smells so bad out here. And I'm like, no, I'm just cooking chicken.
Oh, that's hilarious. So he didn't like the smell of it either.
No, both of us have really, we've changed, a lot in terms of our sense of smell, and it smells bad to us now.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I think for, a lot of people that are on this channel, they're dealing with, like, if they send their kids to grandma's house, right? And they're at grandma's house and grandma gives them a hot dog. What are you going to do? That's a tough one.
It's a tough one. Yeah, I agree. And I don't know the right answer to this either. Like we do things like talk to family members and let them understand what we're trying to achieve as a family. But at the same time, then we let go because we can't control what grandma and grandpa are making, right? And
Right.
so they may make what they're going to make. And at home, we eat our healthy plant-based foods. And when they go there, we gently encourage them to please try to stick with what we're doing. But we can't control that. That's to
You
me, it
can't.
seems like that's sort of out of our hands.
Right.
So,
But one of the suggestions I say is because invariably, when you are plant-based and you do deviate, you're going to feel bad. And
mhm.
it's that cause and effect. So use the child to make that cause and effect. So especially if the child is older, like I'm talking like something like 3, 4, 5 year olds old that has a voice and can
Mhm.
say, because when they come home, and they're sick, from eating at grandma's house, then say, what did you eat at grandma's house? And have that conversation with the child, in as good a way as you can,
Mhm.
because then you can start to associate the cause and effect. You're right. You cannot control grandma. The grandma's going to do what grandma's going to do and whatever. But what you can do is, tie that relationship in. The other thing is to bring food to grandma's. Please serve this to my child,
Mhm.
or say, look, if you're going to give them ice cream, then please, I'm begging you, use this ice cream, okay, and have a plant-based ice cream, or make the popsicles. Like I make popsicles myself, and the
Mhm.
recipe is like I do banana with like 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, some almond milk, a couple of vegetable dates, some vanilla extract, some those kinds of things, and I'll mix that together. And then I usually add a little bit of the coconut flakes, the unsweetened coconut flakes, and it just gives that and some oatmeal. And I'll put that in right at the end and just pulse
Delicious.
it. And it gives it a nice flavor and texture. So, that's something that's a treat. To me, that's a
Mhm.
treat. It's not something that I have every second of every day, but it's a treat. So if you can teach, your mom or, your mother-in-law to make some of these things, or to at least to make ice cream. And I have to tell you, we had the grandchild over for the first time, and he just turned 1, and he
Mm.
had never had ice cream, and we had plant-based ice cream. We went out for it to have ice cream, and the baby's face, oh my God, said it all. It was the first
Oh.
time this child had ever had this, and like a high caloric density kind of food. And he took a bite of it, and his face lit up like, what was that? It
Wow.
was hilarious. And for the rest of the time, he was taking his hand, like, when we take a spoonful to him, and then mom would go to her. And every time she'd take a bite, he'd be like, and start to, almost like get that face screwed up, like ready to cry. Like, you can't take that away from me. And like, he was losing it if we weren't putting it in
Mhm.
fast enough into his mouth. It was hilarious. It was watching the pleasure trap come to life. It
What
was,
kind of food is he being raised on right now?
he's plant based.
Oh, so he is plant-based.
He is
Mm-hmm.
plant based. So,
That's
and
awesome.
actually, this was my stepdaughter. She beta tested the pregnancy advantage for us. And she, like, literally, she cleaned out her systems from the time that she was, shields down. Okay, we're ready to get pregnant. It was 6 weeks, and she
Mm.
got pregnant right away, had a beautiful pregnancy, and her baby. And I think about this a lot because my kids, cried, colic, and were just, and I think back to it, and her baby is so happy, happy. Like, you never see him upset or cry, unless, he's tired, obviously, or if
Mhm.
he's hungry. Okay, forget it. All bets are off. But he is a happy camper the rest of the time. And I attribute that to the plant based living, because he's not, because, like, a baby can't say to you, Mommy, my stomach hurts, and that cause and effect of what you just ate, fed that child. Now the child is not feeling well because of that,
Mhm. Mhm.
or feeling cranky or miserable. The only way they can respond is to cry, and or just be fussy or annoying. But this kid is not. And I just have to say it. I attribute that a lot to plant-based living, and that
Yeah,
they're raising him plant-based. And
that's quite possible. A lot of colic comes from drinking dairy and
I know, I
yeah.
know. So,
Mhm.
it's sad when you go to grandma's and she won't respect or honor you, but bring your own food, number one. And if that's not going to go over, or grandma's still going to do it, you can't control, you have to let it go. But as soon as the child gets old enough to be able to process this, start putting the cause and effect into place. So,
and I had my niece, we were working together, and she was learning all the healthy foods. And then she went back home, and it was her family that wasn't plant-based. And so she went back home and she was teaching them. She was educating them. Like, this is why I need to eat this. This is what I want. I want to get a vitamin. Like, she was, so as they get a little bit older, as your kids get older, they can start to learn, and maybe they can teach grandma a little bit, or, like they could make something together. And it's also helpful sometimes to give parameters, like, maybe have peanut butter instead of turkey sandwich, give them some ideas that they can choose from, so that they can still have fun with their grandkid and be spoiling them, but they can have parameters of foods that you want them to be eating.
Exactly.
So that can be helpful too. So, I mean, I think working with them and talking to them very gently, and trying to not step on their step on their toes, because grandparents are trying to be grandparents and have fun with their grandkids. But it is important to try to respect that.
Right. And you're right, as they get older, to be able to cook with their grandchild, and to make that happen. So I think that's important too, to do that. And I just love the Plant Pure Nation cookbook and Plant Pure Kitchen by Kim Campbell. And she's got a new one coming out. Did you know?
No, I didn't know that. Awesome.
Yep. And she just told me in the years, it's at the publishers and all that good stuff. And I'm like, and then I keep making fun of her, because it's like, yeah, this is the one you told me you would never have. You were doing no more cookbooks, right? But
how can she stop? Well, she has so many great recipes. She has to keep putting them out there for us. Yeah.
I know. And she's an amazing cook. And what I love too about her recipes is that they're stuff you can find in your house. It's not some weird stuff that, you have to go look for on Amazon or in the Indian market or the Asian market down the road. This is normal stuff that you're going to find in your kitchen normally. So let's talk a little bit about living toxic free, because especially for children, that you're either nursing or that you've got small children around, their bodies absorb, your skin absorbs literally in 26 seconds. Anything that you're putting on your body is absorbed into it. And so, living toxic free, you've got to make an effort, a concerted effort as a parent, as a mother, to make sure that what you're providing for your child is toxic free. And I'm talking about like shampoos. I go back to the days of the standard shampoo when my children were little. One of the major shampoos was putting formaldehyde in the baby shampoo. I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't want to say which company, but what? We used to use that to preserve dead animals. It's like, and you're putting this on my child's brain. When I found this out, I like, oh my God, what have I done to my children?
It's like hidden. And they write it so small. We don't know what ingredients are in there. And it's like a big, bright, colorful, pretty label. And they're totally like getting us with that. It's terrible.
So, there's a couple of things you can do. And one of the things I recommend strongly is to go to the ewg.org. They have a website there that you can get an app called Healthy Living. And this website is absolutely incredible, because they've got, I think it's over 80,000 products that they've gone through in their database. So, and they have an app called Healthy Living that you can actually, download on your phone. And before you buy it, take a screenshot of the barcode. And so once you do that, then it will link it to the EWG so that it can help you. But you need to understand this is an important thing to do. And if that's a lot of work, because I know like researching and trying to find products that are not toxic free, it's not easy to do. But if anybody's interested, it's Pure Haven is absolutely amazing. These products are absolutely incredible and meet my standards as a chemistry teacher that are toxic free. They meet my standards. So, if anybody wants to message me and we can connect and I can guide you through, they do have an amazing child line and kid line, and they have a baby kit, which makes a wonderful gift. But you have to understand a lot of these chemicals are endocrine disruptors, and not just for you, but for your child. Your child is developing, but phthalates is what makes plastic soft. right? Your
Okay.
shower curtain. And Time did a huge piece on that. They had a huge cover about toxic toys. This was maybe about 10 years ago. And it's interesting, they did this enormous article about the phthalates, because kids, all the toys that babies were eating, and if you have a child, anything that's around the house, that's that soft, squishy plastic is going right in their mouth, because that's how they explore their environment. And it's like eating a toxic lollipop, because they were sucking on these plastics and they're swallowing these things, and it's having an impact on their bodies. So, and what was interesting was, like 2 weeks later, the president of the American Chemical Society said, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with phthalates for children. It's perfectly safe," and like, you're caught in between. Here's the president of the Chemical Society saying this is okay. And then Time Magazine's had this, big thing about toxic toys made of phthalates. And then you're in the middle. And what do? So, that's something that
you're on the side of caution, right? Keep it out if you can. Buy products that are clean and you know what's in them. So that's right. What I recommend.
And that's tough, because if you're getting baby toys that are going into the baby's mouth, you need to have some understanding of some of the chemicals that your baby's being exposed to. Phthalates is one of them that makes things, the plastic soft and squishy. And I'm thinking about those things like teething rings, that are filled with those gels, because when their teeth start coming in, they start to feel that pain. And so, instead of using some of those, and they're nice, they're pretty, the child loves to gnaw on them, because you can just wash them off, throw them in the freezer, they chill again, you take them out and reuse them again. But on the same hand, you can do that with a carrot. A big long stem, one of the big fat carrots, put it in the freezer and take it out, give it to your baby, let the baby gnaw on it for a while.
That's a fun one. I never heard of that. That's great. I love that tip.
Yeah, I mean, so there's other ways that you can live without the plastics, because the plastics are a huge problem in our world. They really are. And so
what do you do for a shower curtain?
They have cloth shower curtains that you can use for the inside liner, so that you're not touching it, but try to get the cloth ones, so I have the fabric one that looks nice on the outside. And then I have the cloth shower curtain on the inside.
Oh, okay.
And then I always get the white ones, because then, they always get a little bit of that mold, growing in. And so then I throw it into the washing machine with a little bleach, and run it in hot water. So, that's a way to do it. But, phthalates are a big one.
And I pay a lot of attention to things like shampoos, like baby shampoos and adult shampoos and conditioners and hair gels and all this stuff, like all that toxins and makeup and everything that we put on, and all the creams. And don't they say that women get like 17 different chemicals first thing in the morning just by showering and getting ready?
178 on average that you're exposed to before you leave the house.
Isn't that ridiculous? Like, it's obscene. So,
and if you put makeup on,
I've changed over everything using ewg.com as my guide. And looking to see if it rated at 1, 2, or 3. Those are the green ones. And then after that, it gets yellow and then red. So I picked mine out of the green, and I found makeup, I found hair conditioners, and my hair is a little frizzy and I don't have the gel I used to have, but you know what? It's clean and safe products. And so I feel good about it. So,
well, and that's one of the things we got to really be careful of is for our children, is to make sure that we're providing it. And fragrances are one of the places that phthalates hide a lot, because on anything with fragrances, you really want to stay away from fragrance. You want to be fragrance free, whatever you're using, laundry detergent, fabric softener, things like that. All of those things you want to be fragrance free, unless you know where the fragrance is coming from.
What if they say it's essential oils, lemon or something? You think that's okay? Because sometimes I buy a lemon one.
Yes. If you know where the essential oil is coming from and you know where the source is, then I would say absolutely. But if they're just saying fragrances, because here's what happens, is they list that on the bottle where it says fragrances, right? And so what happens is the fragrance per se, what they do is they hide the chemicals in there, because they don't have to list what, or describe what fragrance. They don't put anything on the labels. Actually, there's no regulation at all. At all.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's terrible.
I know. So they can put anything they want. So they use the term fragrance and oh, it's proprietary information. I don't want my competitors to know what my secret ingredient is for. Stop it. I can give that to an analytical chemist and I can tell you in 10 minutes what's in there. Stop it. I mean, please. So anything with a fragrance almost always is going to hide a phthalate or an endocrine disruptor. So you really need to stay away from those. And anytime you're using like those fabric softener sheets, things like that, laundry detergents, like when I go down in the grocery store, like every once in a while I have to go down that aisle for like a sponge or something like that I need to get. I almost by the end of the end of that aisle, I almost have a headache from the
Yeah,
chemicals.
I
It's
don't like that either. Yeah, or if you go into a candle store or
oh,
ooh,
yeah,
none of those scents.
yeah,
Yeah, we have a pharmacy here in town that we go in and I can barely walk in because everything is scented and it's horrible.
I
And
know.
actually people have complained that they get headaches there and their allergies, their sinuses get full and act up and it's terrible. Those scents what they're doing to us.
I know they are. Well, Dr. Miller, thank you so much for taking the time. I always love chatting with you because I always learn so much. So,
And I always learn so much about you. You're the expert on toxins, so I love to talk to you about it. I trust a PhD in chemistry for my information on toxins, so I appreciate your sharing that too.
well, thank you, and we'll be in touch, right? And we talked.
Absolutely.
We've got. I also the admin of a group called the High Blood Pressure Group. So we're going to start do some work in that. And
Awesome.
so if anybody wants to catch us, join the High Blood Pressure Group, and you can catch Dr. Miller and myself. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for taking time to be with us tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Take care.